When you've got a family to move, the car on your driveway isn't just transport, it's your second home. School runs, weekend football matches, supermarket trips, even that once-a-year holiday to Cornwall. All of it relies on one thing: a car you can trust. And in Britain, that usually means big MPVs and 7-seaters. Cars sold as safe, practical, and dependable. But here's the truth: no dealer wants to tell you. Some of the UK's most popular family cars are hiding flaws that appear shockingly early. Gearboxes that fail before the kids are out of primary school. Diesels that choke their own filters long before 100,000 miles. Timing systems that collapse while you're still paying off the finance. For families who thought they were buying peace of mind, these cars became a constant source of stress and expense. Today we're lifting the lid on 7 family cars that break far too soon in the UK. These aren't obscure imports. They're the cars you see on every school run, parked outside every estate, filling forecourts up and down the country. But talk to mechanics, traders, and unlucky owners, and you'll hear the same stories of disappointment. Stick around until the end, because the number one on this list might be sitting outside your house right now, and it could be a ticking time bomb. Let's start with a Vauxhall that was once the go-to choice for big families, but too often turned into a financial headache. Number 7. Vauxhall Zafira Tourer. For years, the Zafira Tourer was the natural choice for Britain's larger families. 7 proper seats, endless cubbies, and a badge everyone knew. It looked like the car that could carry kids, grandparents, prams, and the big Tesco shop without breaking a sweat. Sliding rear seats made life easier. The diesel promised impressive MPG, and on paper, it was the affordable way to move a household. No wonder the Zafira became a regular sight outside schools and sports clubs across the UK. But once the miles piled up, its weaknesses appeared. The 1.6 CDTI proved far more fragile than expected. Timing chain stretch created rattles at cold start, and water pumps failed early, leaving overheating engines stranded on the roadside. The cooling system in particular became a repeat offender, with radiators and thermostats demanding costly attention. Inside, electrical gremlins spread, heater blowers cutting out, parking sensors sounding off for no reason, and infotainment screens freezing mid-journey. Of course, the usual diesel issues were still there. Clogged EGR valves, DPFS refusing to regenerate, and limp mode striking just before an MOT. Gearboxes too, manual and automatic, weren't immune. Repairs often ran well into 4 figures. Families who bought the Zafira to save money often discovered it became the single biggest drain on the household budget. For many parents, what was sold as a practical solution to everyday life turned into a cycle of breakdowns, missed plans, and mounting invoices. The Zafira Tourer didn't just disappoint, it betrayed the trust of the families it was supposed to serve. Next, we turn to Ford's S-Max, a car praised for being fun to drive, but one that hid mechanical flaws big enough to sour the whole experience. Number 6. Ford S-Max. The Ford S-Max carved out a special niche in Britain by doing something no other people carrier quite managed. It made family motoring enjoyable. Parents praised the sharp steering, the agility, the way it felt like a big estate with 7 seats rather than a lumbering van. With the 2.0 EcoBlue diesel, the numbers looked right too. Strong torque, competitive MPG, and attractive tax bands for company car buyers. For many households, it appeared to be the clever compromise between space, comfort, and fun. But behind the image, the EcoBlue carried flaws that showed up far too soon. AdBlue systems failed repeatedly, leaving cars stuck in limp mode or refusing to start until costly parts were replaced. Turbos, expected to last years, often wore out before 70,000 miles, shocking families who thought Ford meant affordable upkeep. Oil leaks around timing covers and intercooler hoses became a regular sight in workshops. Even injectors and fuel pumps, the supposed strong points, left owners with 4-figure quotes. And it wasn't just mechanical. Electrical issues plagued many cars. Parking sensors misfired, lane keep assist triggered randomly, and infotainment units froze mid-journey. Automatic gearboxes, praised when smooth, developed harsh shifts and occasional failures that matched the repair costs of a luxury German saloon. For families stretching finances, the S-Max often transformed from dream to burden. What was sold as the driver's MPV ended up stuck in garages, losing value faster than expected and souring the very image that once made it special. If Ford's attempt at a sporty people carrier fell short, Renault's Grand Scenic proved that even practicality itself can crumble when a car doesn't age gracefully on UK roads. Number 5. Renault Grand Scenic. When the Grand Scenic first hit British showrooms, it looked like the answer to every family's prayers. Bold styling, clever folding seats, a cavernous boot, and a price tag that undercut many rivals. It was the people carrier with a touch of flair. The 1.5 and 1.6 DCI diesels promised frugal running costs, making the car attractive to parents who needed maximum space on a tight budget. In its early years, the Scenic filled UK school car parks and motorways alike, proudly carrying the Renault Diamond as a sign of practicality. But time has not been kind. The electronics that once impressed aged badly. Digital dashboards glitched, keyless entry systems refused to recognize keys, and electric windows developed a mind of their own. Families who relied on the Scenic daily found themselves booking into garages for repairs that seemed endless. Gearboxes, particularly the automatics, often failed long before 100,000 miles, with slipping clutches and complete transmission breakdowns turning what should have been routine motoring into a financial ordeal. Engines were no safe haven either. The DCI diesels gained notoriety for turbo failures, injector problems, and timing belt issues that appeared far earlier than expected. Add in fragile suspension components, buses and arms wearing quickly under UK road conditions, and ownership became a constant cycle of expenses. On the used market, the Grand Scenic's reputation fell hard. Traders grew reluctant to take them back in Part X, and many sat unsold, even at tempting prices. For British families, the car that once seemed the clever alternative to duller rivals too often aged into a liability. And if Renault's MPV aged badly, Citroën's answer promised comfort and style, but left too many UK parents furious when costly failures ruined everyday life. Number 4. Citroën C, 4 Picasso/Grand C, 4 SpaceTourer. When the Citroën C4 Picasso first appeared in the UK, it felt like a breath of fresh air in a sea of dull family movers. The vast windscreen gave a panoramic view of the road, the airy cabin kept kids entertained, and the flexible seating made it easy to juggle school runs, football kits, and holiday luggage. Later rebadged as the Grand C4 SpaceTourer, it offered French comfort with clever touches at a price families could stretch to. For a while, it really did look like the smartest 7-seat buy. But living with one told a different story. The air suspension that gave the car its trademark soft ride often failed prematurely, leaving the car sagging awkwardly on the driveway and demanding costly repairs. The SCR emissions system, designed to keep the blue HDI engines clean, turned into a nightmare for many owners. AdBlue pumps failed, sensors misread, and limp mode kicked in at the worst possible moments. Parents reported missing school trips and cancelling weekends away because their car simply refused to start. Other niggles piled on. Interior trim didn't age gracefully, electrical systems were temperamental, and infotainment units froze mid-journey. DPF issues cropped up for families who mostly did short journeys, adding another layer of stress to ownership. What was meant to be a relaxing, futuristic MPV too often turned into a source of anxiety. In online forums and Facebook groups, British parents still share tales of frustration, breakdowns on motorways, garages struggling for parts, and invoices that dwarfed the car's monthly finance payment. If Citroën's vision of family motoring left parents exasperated, Volkswagen's Touran showed that even the safe choice in the UK could betray the trust it was built on. Number 3. Volkswagen Touran. For years, the Volkswagen Touran was the 7-seater British families bought without hesitation. Compact enough for narrow street, roomy enough for children and luggage, and carrying the aura of German reliability, it seemed like the obvious safe choice. Fleet buyers loved it too, which meant the used market was soon full of ex-company Tourans, all presented as dependable bargains. But daily life revealed another side. The DSG gearbox, praised when new, became a serious liability with age. Jerky shifts, sudden loss of drive, and mechatronic failures were common, leaving families with invoices often exceeding £2,000. The 2.0 TDI engine carried its own headaches. DPF filters blocked easily on stop-start school runs. EGR valves stuck open, and owners found themselves in limp mode far more often than expected. Beyond the drivetrain, the Touran wasn't immune to wear inside. Sliding seat mechanisms jammed, air conditioning units failed, and electrical glitches plagued parking sensors and dashboard displays. What had looked like clever practicality often became a list of constant irritations that spoiled family life. As the pattern emerged, used values began to tumble. Traders grew cautious, buyers grew wary, and the Touran's reputation as the sensible family car took a serious dent. For many British households, the biggest shock wasn't a single breakdown, but the slow erosion of trust in a brand they thought unshakable. And if Volkswagen's so-called safe bet left families counting the cost, Peugeot's 5008 delivered an even crueler blow. Its small petrol engine hiding a flaw capable of destroying it long before most parents expected. Number 2. Peugeot 5008. At first glance, the Peugeot 5008 looked like the perfect answer for growing families in Britain. 7 seats, stylish design, decent kit levels, and a petrol engine that kept tax and insurance down. What could go wrong? Plenty, as thousands of UK parents discovered. The 1.2 PureTech hides a critical weakness. Its timing belt runs inside the engine oil. On paper, it's efficient. In practice, it's disastrous. Belts degrade far too early, shedding fibers that clog the oil strainer. When that happens, lubrication fails, turbos starve, and entire engines seize, sometimes before the car even reaches 60,000 miles. Families expecting years of hassle-free use were blindsided by bills that could rival the price of a replacement car. Mechanics across the UK report seeing more of these failures every year, yet many buyers remain unaware until it's too late. What was marketed as a smart, economical 7-seater often turned into a ticking time bomb under the bonnet. For parents juggling school runs and finance payments, the 5008's breakdowns felt like the ultimate betrayal of trust. And if that wasn't bad enough, the number 1 car on this list proves that even when families upgrade to a larger SUV for peace of mind, disaster can still strike. Number 1. Nissan X-Trail. For many British families, the Nissan X-Trail looked like the ideal step up from a Qashqai. Bigger cabin, proper 7-seat option, SUV styling with that promise of dependability. It seemed the safe way to get more space without breaking the bank. Dealers pushed it hard as the family SUV that could do it all. School runs, holidays, even towing. But under the skin, the 1.6 DC told a very different story. The engine struggled with fragile injectors that failed far earlier than expected, sending repair bills into the thousands. Even worse, many UK cars were fitted with Nissan's CVT gearbox, which quickly developed slipping, overheating, and eventual failure. Replacements often cost more than the car was worth by the time families turned to garages for help. Owners who thought they'd found the sensible upgrade discovered they were trapped with an SUV that aged badly and lost value fast. Online, stories of X-Trails left stranded on hard shoulders are depressingly common, turning what was meant to be a family protector into a source of constant worry. And that's the cruel irony of this list. The cars sold as safe bets for British families too often proved the very opposite, breaking down long before parents expected and leaving households footing bills they could ill afford. So there you have it, 7 family cars that looked perfect on the forecourt but ended up letting too many British households down. From MPVs once hailed as the answer to big families to SUVs pushed as safe upgrades, these models share the same cruel twist. They break too soon, and when they do, the costs cut deep. And that's the danger. When you've got kids to ferry, you don't just need space and cup holders. You need trust. Yet these cars, sold as practical solutions, became stressful liabilities long before their time. It's no wonder so many dealers wince when one of these turns up in Part X today. But now I want to hear from you. Did you ever own one of these 7-seaters or SUVs? Did it serve you well? Or did it leave you stranded with bills you'd rather forget? Share your experience in the comments. It might save another family from making the same mistake. If you found this video helpful, hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. Turn on the bell so you don't miss the next one, where we'll reveal the family cars in the UK that really do go the distance. Trust me, you'll want to know which ones actually earn their place on your driveway.